Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. Here we are. It's all we have to do. To be relaxed, at ease in our natural state. There are all these conditionings, there are all these influences trying to pull the attention away. And as long as we are going through life half conscious, we are not even aware of it, how we are always running away from that which we are always looking for, that which is complete, happy, joyous, that feels fulfilled. And there we struggle and struggle and struggle, going through so many things, experience so many pains. And that which matters most is so easy to overlook. Before all that, we simply are. And that simple beingness is not something bad, neutral. It's fully alive. It's neutral in the sense that it's not standing in judgment, but not neutral in the sense that it is simply sort of shut down. It's not a stone. It's full of life and joy and beauty and creativity. We should be naturally in that state and have learned the hard way while growing up, always not to be in conscious touch with that. We have to let go of all our conditionings, of all that is preventing us from being natural, from simply being in that state that is natural, that is our birthright. Just be, breathe, relax, and just be. This is prior to the mind, prior to all the concepts, prior to all that we are feeling and thinking. And so, of course, it's prior to all the problems that we are creating. And now, in the context of this, I come immediately to a question Maria has sent me. It's about one of the things that pull us out of that natural state. Negative emotions. And then she goes about saying, yes, and it's the concept about them is very different in different cultures. Having been brought up very Christian, Catholic, then of course it was always the devil and the devil's temptations. And then she has a lot of contact with an ashram in Bali, and there they talk about evil spirits. negative spirits that influence us. And we can just call it a state of mind. She said she feels different according to the concept she connects with. It's something different, but actually that difference is something that we are creating. And no matter whether we are conceiving it as this or that, somehow or other, the way to deal with negativity is the same. When there are negative emotions, either we are not even aware and getting totally overwhelmed and pulled into destructive actions, or then we are aware and then still we go along with it, justify, and also become destructive. Or then we are aware and think it's no good and start to fight with them. And then it's a tremendous struggle between a pull into negativity and not wanting to go fighting with the devil. What we have to learn is to be aware and see them coming, these negative influences. And it doesn't matter whether we conceive them to be from the devil or evil spirits or our own negativity, whether it's coming in subtle energies in, or whether it's coming from our subconscious. The way to deal with negativity, that it doesn't become destructive, is to learn to see it and accept that it's there. Not immediately start a war. If we fight with it, we feed it. And then, as these are two aspects of ourselves fighting with each other, both become stronger. And it's just a painful struggle. But if we see negative influences and accept it, then suddenly they are not so bad. Maria says, naturally, then there are the negative emotions and they are unpleasant and one resists. And there are positive emotions that are pleasant and one looks for it. But we can't stop doing that. Even if a so-called negative emotion comes, if we stop resisting, then suddenly the experience is not more so terrible. Then it's just, okay, we feel the influence, we feel how it is manifesting in the body, what it is doing energetically, observe it and learn to relax, and then it's not a negative experience. And definitely it doesn't pull us into destructive actions. And the more we are capable of doing so, the more that difference in our experience of pleasant emotions and unpleasant emotions diminishes. I think it will always remain preferable to feel loving emotions than anger. I was about to say hatred, but hatred doesn't come in anymore if we learn to deal with emotions as they come. Because hatred is nothing else but anger that is sustained, that we hold on to and keep on feeding, and then it becomes stronger and we call it hatred. If we are alert if you see those influences, and there are different influences, it can come bubbling up out from our subconscious because of something that happened in the past. But there are negative influences in the atmosphere, especially now there is a lot of it. But how to treat them is exactly the same. That we see this is happening, that we accept, and instead of fighting, just observe what it is doing and learn to relax in it. And then negative, so-called negative experiences lose their sting, and actually they make us grow, they make us unfold our strength, our experience, our love of life. So the key, Maria, is learn not to resist when it comes. Learn not to think it shouldn't be like this. I shouldn't have this kind of emotions. Being a spiritual person, I shouldn't feel like this. If the most ugly feelings, emotions come, then accept they come. Just don't go along with it. Watch what is happening physically, energetically, and learn to relax. Then it's not a bad experience. And the whole judgmentality goes away. The morality of it goes away. The whole tale that is so heavy that the tradition has burden on our conscience, on our back, we can simply drop it immediately and deal with the energy directly in the moment. And then, no matter what the situation, we can use that energy creatively. And what does it mean to use that energy creatively? Means that that energy is not draining our life force. In contrary, when you accept it and watch it and relax, then you're getting stronger in the process. And the more that strength is manifesting, the easier it is to relax and be closer to our natural state, where the beauty, the joy, and the love of life is flowing out and expressing itself. Don't fight with the devil. When the devil comes, you just don't take the fellow serious anymore. Okay, there you are. I see you. I don't fight with you. I'm not afraid. See the influences, observe them, and relax. Then even in trying times like now, where there is a lot of negative stuff going on in the world, then we are not being influenced in a destructive way all the time. We can see it as a fact, okay, it's there, but it's also an opportunity to become stronger. To accept it is as it is, deal with it, and getting stronger in the process. And in that increasing strength, the experience of it, of the essence of life, of what is expanding and getting more profound and beautiful. All right, I leave the subject, and then talking to you, asking you, my friends, is there anyone who would like to comment? You are welcome to do so.
Good morning, Werner.
Hello, Nils.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And thank you for this beautiful talk. It's very actual in my life, actually. And I was thinking while you were talking about this situation I have with a neighbor. It's always a neighbor, of course. And
if it's not the devil, then it's the neighbor, huh?
Yeah, maybe the neighbor is the devil. No, that's no. Actually, I think he's my teacher because I'm having a hard time applying this science that you are talking about to him. Mm-hmm. Maybe not to make it a long story, but when we were moving in here 5 years ago, my father died. I got a sum of money. I could buy a very nice house.
Yes.
And it's in a neighborhood with a lot of water, and we wanted a vegetable garden. So I looked up how we could keep out the snails.
Yeah.
And I found a farm in South Africa who have more than 1,000 runner ducks who do that.
Yeah.
And I was so charmed with these runner ducks. They are so beautiful. So I decided to get 4 ducklings.
Yeah.
And my daughters were small, and we were all in love with the ducks.
Yeah.
But then we found out the neighbor didn't like the ducks. Even though there are many water birds in the area, like swans, geese, many ducks, he said, these type of ducks quack differently. I can hear the difference. They're in your garden. They're close to my garden. It's too loud. You have to get rid of the ducks.
Oh.
Well, I said, no, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to get rid of these ducks. But they kept complaining and complaining. And in the end, it got to a situation where my wife was in the garden playing some guitar. And the neighbor was standing next to our garden. Now I was doing some meditation, and I said, and we were playing guitar. Bye, neighbor. I'm not going to a discussion. It's been enough. You've been here enough. I don't want to discuss this anymore. And then his wife started screaming like mad. And I lost it too. And I screamed to her too. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, my wife dragged me back in, so it lasted not more than a minute.
Yeah.
But since then, they've called the police, and there have been a neighbor watch has been calling me. This is for over a year now.
Yeah.
Since that happened, and I told that neighbor watch, I want to have a good relation with the neighbor. I want to talk to him. I want to take care of his plants when he's on holiday, but I am not going to discuss the ducks anymore. Mm-hmm. And then she said, oh, tell him that. And she called me back and she said, well, then he doesn't want to talk to you. So he only wanted to complain about my ducks. And we did everything to minimize the discomfort for him. We allowed the ducks to go outside in the pond in the neighborhood in the day, and we bought like a duck flute, and we lure them in the night. So we are like at night, and then 4 of them come running back into the garden, and we close off the garden. And at night they are in a night stay.
Yeah.
And now what I notice that every time I think of this man, I think it's hatred. I feel such a repulsing feeling of bleh. And I try to stay with that feeling. I try to think of him as he's just another human being. He just has a different way of looking, and who am I to judge his way of looking? But I noticed that all the time my mind goes back to, he is wrong, I am right.
Yeah.
And it's for such a long time already, I find it almost impossible to let go of it, and to get to a more acceptance, and to I see my wife doing that. Yeah. She says, I don't care what he thinks. I just don't want to give them attention anymore. I'm glad they don't give it to us anymore.
Yeah.
I enjoy my ducks and let it be. But I find my mind is more vindictive. And well, I guess there's no solution but to keep staying with the feeling. But
Yeah, when you see that this is happening, when you try to just watch it, and then immediately the mind comes in and you start to argue, I'm right, he's wrong, I'm right, he's wrong. There you can then watch that feeling. That's also an emotion that is prompting these thoughts. And you say, okay, this may have been justified at a certain point, but now it's simply a waste of energy. And then you watch you're doing that thing, justifying, I'm right, he's wrong, he's totally wrong. And then there you can also not resist to the fact that this is coming now, but not more keep the attention on the intellectual level that keeps it alive. I'm right or wrong. Then forget about right and wrong, but simply see what it is doing to you. Not that the neighbor did this, but your own thing, your own reaction. See what your own reaction is doing to your experience. See what it is doing to you physically, and start to relax. And then the habit of doing so gradually will disappear.
I guess I've been doing the opposite. I've even been feeding this we bought a small pizza stove,
Yeah,
and it smokes a bit if you don't do it right.
yeah,
And I see myself making it smoke more on purpose, so like he can sit in my smoke. And like when I later look back at myself, I think, oh, you're like a little child.
yeah.
This is really not the way to soften your own experience and to get to the finish you really want, because I really don't want these feelings of hatred.
Yeah,
It's not a nice experience. Like you said, it's preferable to feel at least neutral.
neutral. Yes. Right. But then when you see this time, this is the usual thing that happens all the time. There has been a little thing in the beginning, and then one starts to do silly things to each other, and it's getting worse. And when you see that the impulse comes, or you have already done it, and then you become aware, actually I smoked more than it was necessary. Then you just have a good look at yourself again, and don't encourage that. Simple, don't judge yourself. Okay, there I'm going again. There I did it again. But
Yeah, blowing
I'm
the duck whistle a little longer than necessary. They're already in the garden and going on because I know he likes the sound.
right.
Oh, it's really, really.
And all these little things, when you see them, then you can redirect the attention from the level of the mental thing of wanting to give little kicks, and just see energetically what is happening and relax. Don't judge yourself, but don't encourage it. Don't justify that you act like this and think, no, I'm right. It's not, you know perfectly well, it's useless. It doesn't bring anything good to do so.
Right.
It's just a habit that one has the tendency to do such things. And then when you see the tendency, then you watch that tendency, you see how it is functioning energetically, and you learn to relax, and gradually it stops manifesting.
I think this neighbor is trying to teach me that, not that he knows that he's doing that, but I'm a little bit stubborn refusing the lesson. But I think you are right. It's time to really deal with it.
It's always good to remember we are not here to teach other people lessons, but to learn our lessons.
Right. So, but instead of seeing him as the evil neighbor,
Yeah.
I think it helps to see him as a teacher. Like he is the thing in life that's trying to teach me to soften up, to being feeling righteous, feeling angry because somebody else doesn't accept me the way I am, because they don't like what I like, and feeling disappointed that they are so childish, in my view, because that's only my opinion, towards my way of life. And so if I keep looking at him as some evil man who is wrongdoing me, it will feed the anger. And if I see him as a teacher, like, okay, this man really is like a teaching thing in my life. This is what in the last couple of weeks, I've been thinking more and more. Don't view him anymore as this evil man.
Right.
View him as a opportunity to learn this.
Right. That's the proper attitude. If that mental shift helps you, then by all means encourage that. Because if you look at him as the evil guy that is ridiculous and childish, but by holding on that we put us on that level, that we are basically judging, condemning.
Yes.
And it feeds the story. But if you are stepping back out of the story and come back to the possibility, what you can learn, how you can grow in the situation, then suddenly it's not more a problem.
Yes, yes. I hope that this is where it is going now.
Yes, sure. Just remind yourself, and when you catch yourself doing the opposite, then no point in condemning yourself. Simply, there I'm going again. I see you. No more of that.
Yeah, I in some respect have to re-educate myself, like I'm doing to my daughters now.
Of course, it's the same. It's what we have to do with our mind is a re-education, that we stop creating unnecessary destruction.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I wish you well with it.
Thank you. Ario.
Ario. I see there is already somebody coming in. I think this is Cornelia. Cornelia, I cannot hear you. You have to unmute.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, Werner. Good to
Hello,
see you.
Cornelia.
Hi there. Oh, I'm so happy I could make it today. And I have to say, my question seems to be ever so great already to hear what you said about Maria's question and Niels. Because my question again is something pretty similar, but coming this time from the other direction.
Yeah.
Actually, amazing things happened since I've been back from India. And knowing what was good for me in India, like the community, and so I found a lunch community. I shared that last time, I think.
Yes, yes.
And somebody helping me with stuff in the house. And now I had a week of vacation, and I can't actually, so far, I can't even believe what happened. A man came up to me and was obviously excited about me. And so we started talking to each other, and because we were in a group, we had meetings together and stuff for 3 days. Then a lot of us had corona and we had to leave the place. Me too. I had a couple of days corona now. And we both agreed on, because we have a lot of ages of, let's say, difficult relationship experiences and painful things. We really want to take it slow. I never did that before. I was always just racing for it, go for it and have it all and all at once and all. And now this, I really want to take it slow also. And of course, higher power is listening to my prayers and my desires. So what happened? This man is living 600 kilometers away from my place. So we have to take it slow in a way. And yeah, and now so we talk every now and then. We do video calls. And this morning I woke up and I was so in my desire. I want to feel him. I want to see him. I go there now. It's Saturday. It's a weekend. Why don't we see each other the weekends? It would be possible. There are trains going, you know, it's almost Switzerland there, actually. Oh, yeah. And it's like, it feels addictive. You know, I couldn't do my ordinary stuff here at home. And since I already worked in groups about sex and love addiction, I reached out, I talked to somebody and shared and noticed, she's at a totally different point, but it's similar. I don't want to put, you know, Werner, I don't want to put anyone again in this position that I feel like without that person or without that thing or without, I can't live, I don't want to live, you know, this is crazy. I had a good life before and it was starting to blossom and it's just an additional blessing, yeah? And it feels as if I can't handle that blessing the way it would be appropriate. And you know, he's a little younger, but almost 60 or so. I'm in my 60s. So, I mean, it's high time to just really go step by step and watch it properly and also experience all kind of small things on the way, you know, to not, I think, you know what I mean, you know, not just, it's like any addiction, eating all of it at once or, yeah, so it's kind of a little bit the opposite of what was there, what you talked about before, but it has a similar root, right? It's all about being out there. So what you started was so good for me to hear already, like, oh, come on, you know, just take the broom and do some brushing or, you know, whatever, be here now, breathing. Yeah. So do you have any idea for the longing? Because yeah, to get away from what I not want. Yeah, it's similar. I don't know. I'm stuck in this. I just want it, and it also feels. I mean, I know it's normal, and we call that falling in love, right? Yeah. It's not love, of course. It's something. It's wanting. It's desire. It's longing. It's whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not being here and now.
Yeah. What is troubling you is the mix of all this imagination, what could be, but also the fear where it's going to lead. Out of experience, yes. Okay, we can have some fun, and after that, a lot of trouble and a lot of pain.
Exactly. Like always, it will be pain again. Ooh, better not do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's good to remind yourself on what I said in the beginning. In order to be fulfilled, you just have to be. There comes the fulfillment from, and not from the external circumstances. That doesn't mean it's wrong that when you are having the opportunity, maybe that you get into a relationship and you can bring yourself a lot of joy in each other's life, but not as an addict who needs that, because sooner or later you get disappointed and then comes the hammer, the crush. Remind yourself that happiness, joyousness that stays, real fulfillment is not coming from somebody, it's not coming from a circumstance. You are the source of your happiness. You are complete in yourself. If somebody can mirror aspects of you that you become more self-aware, wonderful. But you don't have to make anybody responsible that you become happier. The more you are clear about that, the less difficult it is to deal with the circumstances or to deal in this particular situation. Now we have decided wisely that we will take it slowly, just to be sure not to do the usual thing, happy, happy, and then suffer, suffer. Okay, and when these feelings come like this morning, then accept the feelings, don't fight them, and enjoy the feelings, and see what they are doing, see how they are playing in your body, see how they are playing energetically, and then
Werner, it's like burning. It's like a life in a fire burning, really, like that.
Yeah, but somehow if you start to watch them, then they are not burning painfully but joyously.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, some of it was very joyous, actually. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
After all, it's bringing about the joyous feelings. It's just that we add that thing, but it should be now materially manifest. And then if it's not, then it becomes restless. But if you just let the imaginations come and the feelings that come along with it and accept them and watch them, then that in itself can be very joyous. And you don't become an addict of the material situation. Actually, the big thing, the biggest part of falling in love is always all the imaginations one does. Usually then the material real life is never quite living up, living up to all the wonderful things one can imagine.
Actually, I mean, I shared that more often. My last relationship felt like it. It was materialized what I ever always wanted, you know, but it was living the daily life was just wonderful like this.
Yes, but somehow it's no more there. So something.
No, he decided differently, so it's gone. Yeah, and that
Yes.
was a lot of suffering. Yeah,
Right.
I know somebody decided, okay, there is something. Yeah.
But if you can already just let the feelings come, accept them,
Yeah.
let the imaginations come, accept them, and then instead of feeding a restlessness, just watch them. Then that in itself can be a fulfilling experience without thinking, oh, it should be different, it should be like this, it should be like that. And if you can do that, then after that you go also with a much more balanced energy and attitude in the situation and bring something wealthy, something worthy with you.
Yeah, otherwise, you know, if I act out on this, it's so pushy, you know. I don't wanna give this to anybody. Yeah, no, me being pushy, oh, terrible. Terrible. It's just terrible. You know, he has to run. If I do that, he would have to run, you know, immediately, I think. I mean, I'm not sure about it. He might be excited in the first place and then run in the second place.
Just remind yourself, you are the source of your happiness.
Yeah, okay.
Even if a desire is fulfilled and that happiness that is experienced is not really coming from the situation, but from yourself. The situation simply agrees with your ideas how it should be, and in that agreement, you relax, you let go without thinking of doing so. But when a desire is fulfilled, that's what happens. Then people relax, let go. For a moment, there is not that nagging idea, it should be different, it should be different. And in that relaxation and letting go, that natural joyousness that is always there has a chance to come to the surface and be experienced. And after that, in the mind, we think it's because of this and this and this and this, and we want to repeat it as many times as possible, and usually it's not quite working out.
Yeah.
But remind yourself
makes sense.
that joyousness, that happiness, that sense of fulfillment comes out of yourself because it's already there. You just have to let it, give it a chance to come to the surface. Nothing wrong going into a relationship. If that happens, fine, wonderful, I'm happy for you. But
yeah, I was not looking for it, you know. And these are all the blessings. I hear you, and it resonates totally with me. Yeah. Because people ask me, what did India bring you? You know, what it did? I said, oh, let's see what it brought. It will happen in the future, and it did. You know, I was just there, and in my devotion, and coming back, and first painful, and then now I feel like I'm just collecting all the blessings that happened before in me in India, you know, and in my, let's say, my retreat time. Yeah.
Right.
And now back in my daily life, these things happen. And of course it happened because something's changed in me. I wasn't looking for that in the outside. And now it comes, and I only react in the old known patterns. Yeah. And I don't want to, and I really want to learn something new here. I want to do something that I never did before. And that is exactly that. Just watch it and stay and stay present. Stay present. I think that's the main thing. Yeah.
Positive or negative, if we don't go with the idea that expecting it should do this or it should do that, but feed, nourish that awareness, after all, I'm complete in myself, then we can go much more relaxed and playfully in situations. And then they come about beautifully.
Yeah, it seems so. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's already so helpful just to share it with you and our community here, just to hear myself talking like this, and also everything you say to anybody else is also all is for me somehow.
Very good, very good.
Thank you very much. Hario.
You're welcome. Hario, Hario. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome.
Hello.
Hello, I hear a voice.
Hello.
Hey, hello,
Werner?
Hazel. Hazel, I see, I hear you.
Hello.
I don't see you. I don't know whether you have the camera on. There, no.
It's on now, but maybe the...
Oh, yes.
You see me?
I can see your picture and sometimes it moves a little. Okay.
Okay, let's see. Maybe the network's not so good again. I had a question. So, like, more and more recently, when I sit and meditate, when I sink into like a deeper relaxed space, and like my mind finally like subsides and it's really quiet and subtle, I get this like big, like almost like a nervous like twitch or release, or like this huge jerk in my body.
Yeah.
And I mean, it feels quite good, but also it like restarts my mind.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like I literally jump in the air, or like my arm just like flies. It's quite intense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you have any
now the sound disappeared. Now I think Hazel disappeared completely. Are you here, Hazel? Anyhow,
no, I think.
Now I hear some sounds, but I got the question, so I'm answering. Yes, this can happen in the course of the process, that this kind of manifestations start. And then don't feel disturbed by it, but don't feel that this is a sign of progress, and feed them. There are people who are thinking when they have their kriyas in their meditation, this is wonderful, that shows that I'm progressing, and somehow they feed that, they put that mindset into it. Oh, this has to come more, and then the more it comes, the more it's a sign of progress, and then they tell, I cannot control it. And after some time it feels like they cannot control it, but actually then we start to lose a lot of energy unnecessarily. It's better that you just observe it, but don't think, it's great, it's wonderful, it's something that should happen. If you rather have that idea, I can control that again, then you're going in the right direction. But if it happens, then never mind, let it happen. But don't feel bad about it, but also don't feel, oh, wonderful, something is happening, I'm getting somewhere. It's a moment of intense energy, and somehow you're not quite ready to deal with it, and so then the body, boom, reacts like this. But then if you learn that when you see that it's coming, that maybe for a moment you just control. Even if you have to strain a moment, you control, but then relax. And if you do that, sometimes it will still happen, sometimes it will not happen. But if you do that, then you can relax earlier and earlier, and then eventually, even when the impulse comes that such a thing would happen, and you can relax, then actually you are getting much more from that energy wave that comes. It drives you deep into your own resources, much more than when it's manifesting. So these things happen. I had a lot of that stuff. Once my body shook so strongly when I was sitting in my cave that I hit actually my head on the floor and had to stitch my brow together. But immediately I understood this thing. I have to somehow get a handle on it. I have to control it. And then sometimes it's a moment of controlling, but then relax. And if you do that, really, you can relax earlier and earlier, and finally, whatever energy that comes, you can relax in it, and then actually it makes your experience expand. But if we feed that, if we do the opposite and think this is great and Kriya is a part of spiritual progress, then people get into these shakings and doing all kinds of funny things and stick a bit on that level instead of using that energy to go beyond it. I don't know whether I can hear you now when you say something. So if you have anything to add, please try.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you can hear me. When you say like control it, do you mean like, instead of like expressing it, if I can like maybe work with it and sublimate it a bit?
Right. Control can mean that when it's starting, that you're not feeding it, that it goes on and on, or maybe even when you feel it coming, that for a moment you just get a moment a little tense and wait until the worst is over and then relax. Then it doesn't even happen. But
Okay.
you don't have to be get obsessed with controlling, but you see the direction where it is going, not to fall in the trap that this is great and I have to feed it, and then after that you start to do a circus all the time when you are meditating.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to come? You're welcome. I don't want to offend anybody with what I'm saying. I know there are schools where they are encouraging kriyas, and they call it usually kriyas, and that all kinds of wild things are happening in the body. And if that is happening and we feed it, then people may during their meditation do more and more and more kriyas. Okay, if that is their way, if they in that way eventually can direct it in something creative, that may be so. My experience definitely is that every time this happened to me and I totally lost control, got even a moment unconscious, and then becoming aware and seeing how much the body was shaking in all directions, I always felt the energy so gross and like I have puffed out energy that I could have used in a much more creative way. Now, I'm not saying anything against the whole path, like Maria is doing the shaking meditation, and that is really a whole practice. That is not like those kriyas when we try to silently meditate and the body starts to do funny things. Then I don't know that path, but this is an altogether different path to come to the same inner peace. I'm not criticizing that. I'm simply saying that those kriyas that come unexpected in our meditation, they may happen to some people, they may not happen to others, but the general direction is definitely much more creative, helpful, that we learn to control it, and then more and more that strength develops, that even when great energy waves come, we can just sit them out and actually ride on them. And it's becoming a much subtler experience and a much more expansive experience than when we encourage these physical manifestations and then get more and more into that. Okay, I stop about this thing. Is there anybody else? Because just when I started to talk again, it seemed like the camera was lighting up, but I'm not sure. Is there anybody else who tried to come in? You're welcome. It doesn't seem so. But anyhow, even if you haven't tried just before to come in, anyone who likes to come in is welcome to come in.
Hi, Werner.
Hello, Andreas.
Maybe going back to the subject that we had before, like difficulties with other people.
Yeah.
My landlord just turned on music, and she's always playing the same CD all the time, and I can hear it because it's a very thin door that is connecting, and it's like I mean, it's kind of funny because like on her part of there's construction work going on, and I actually don't mind the construction work noise less than this Indian CD.
Yeah.
Because I just feel that, I don't know, maybe I'm just trying to clarify it. It just makes me more angry than the construction noise, because I feel it's somehow egoistic that she does that, because she's playing it sometimes the whole evening when she has visitors, and nobody's listening to it, and I have to listen to it all the time. And it's like, this really makes me, this is difficult, you know. It just happened, and I just watched. I'm getting more angry about this than about the construction noise. Doesn't bother me. I just just state it.
Right, the construction noise you accept because you think, okay, it's necessary, it will be there for some time, but then with this you think somebody is doing that and they could know better.
Yeah.
Have you tried to talk to her?
I don't remember exactly. Maybe I have to do it again. Yeah.
Maybe you ask her whether you can make out somehow a compromise that she plays it at certain times and not all the time, that she still can listen to it, but you don't have to listen to it the whole time. That could be possible, huh?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, sometimes it's a little bit, I don't want to go into all the details. It's just like she's not listening to it most of the times. It's just for a background noise to block the construction
I
sound.
see. So,
because it's like she's playing it sometimes for hours, you know, like the same CD is like, and it's maybe like just one Indian song that goes for like 10 minutes, and I have to listen to it 20 times then.
yes. Oh, she does it to screen out the construction noise.
Yes.
And if she would change different, a bit change the music, then it would be okay with you. If she
Maybe a
had
little
more
bit better.
variety.
I don't know. I think it's like what you said, that I'm interpreting it in a way that this isn't really necessary. You know, it's like, if she has some visitors, she just does it because she thinks it's necessary, and nobody sometimes even listen to it because it's they cannot hear it as well as I can, because they're one flight of stairs off above. And so it's like, I have to listen to it all the time, and nobody else listens to it.
Right.
It's kind of helplessness, and this makes it difficult.
Yeah. Well, try to talk to her with a good spirit, not in an angry, aggressive way. If nothing else works, maybe you can put an isolation on your door. That's reducing the noise a good percentage.
I just thought I spell it out because there's some emotions. I mean, it's kind of strange that this is bothering me so much, because it's like, the interpretation that she could do differently, and she's just there's a kind of interpretation that is kind of egoistical, and I feel this makes me angry. This is the part of it.
That's a good part. Like, it's certainly the construction noise is certainly not more pleasant than that Indian song.
No.
But then you don't interpret, okay, construction, you can accept they construct, it will take some time, then it's over, and somehow to construct something, you can't avoid the noise. But then you think, but that woman could avoid that noise, and she doesn't, and she should not act like this. And then that is the difficult part of it, not so much the noise. Anyhow, but still you have the right to talk to her if you do that in a peaceful way and say, look, I'm just there behind the door and it's for me not so easy to listen to that song all the time. Maybe she cannot understand, no?
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
maybe it's a little bit difficult because the other way around, she has sometimes to listen to my music.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though it's not very loud in her place because it's one flight of stairs above.
Yeah. But she has the music down in your level and lives one flight up.
Yeah, it's just in the hallway, the music, and it's very close to my door.
Yeah.
And very far away from her apartment.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you ask her, maybe you ask her how she feels about your music. And then you may also hear things that you didn't think that she would feeling like. And then maybe you can come to an understanding.
Yes.
If you go into the situation with a positive attitude that not that I want to teach her a lesson or I want to tell her what is right and wrong, but let us see whether we find a way that we both can be happy with it.
Yeah. It just touches something inside me from my past, I think, that feeling kind of being, because she's in a position of power in a way, and feeling helpless towards a person that is not very sensitive to my needs.
Yeah. Anyhow, I wish you well with it.
Thank you. Hariom.
Hariom. Hariom. Is there anybody else who likes to come?
What about earphones or Kopfhörer? What is it?
Earphones.
Earphones.
Yes. But he says that the music is down and she is up most of the time, so it's maybe not so easy with earphones.
Aha, okay.
Anyhow, let them figure out the details.
Yeah.
Would you like to say something else, Heidi?
No. It's okay for the moment.
Just earphones, Heidi can.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we leave it at that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I see Niels is there again. Hello, Niels.
Yes, what this reminds me of is something you talked about last week or the week before. The last week I saw only on YouTube. That if you are in meditation and sounds come, then how to deal with that? Because if it gets more and more noisy, does this disturb your meditation? And at first, when I was meditating, I really was annoyed by noise.
Yeah.
And then I started to do it more in what I think is the Ramana way.
Yeah.
Ramana is not here to tell me if that's correct, so it's really my way. But I interpret any noise, maybe talking, that's a bit difficult because then it's really hard not to be distracted by the content.
Yeah.
But any noise is just a way to get to the subject.
Yeah.
You know, like no matter how loud, no matter how long, it's not about getting quiet, it's about getting to know the subject. So in a way, I was really meditating to relax and to feel this quietness. And it shifted to not caring about the quietness and the relaxation, but about dealing with the objects and with the purpose to know the subject, which is impossible.
Right, but becoming aware of what makes the experience possible.
yes, like you can never turn your attention to the subject. It's impossible. But to at least realize there is a subject and that you are the movie screen on which all the objects are displayed. Like there is no inside, no outside, because the body is also an object displayed on the movie screen, and the sounds are an object, and the thoughts are an object, the feelings are an object. And so like the knowledge that all these objects cannot see themselves, but they are seen, it's obvious.
Right.
And all the time the mind says, I see it. And that's also just an object. There is no I seeing anything. That's just a way of speaking. What sees everything? You cannot talk about it.
No, you can.
It's
But
impossible.
You can be that.
You are already that. Yes, it's like also trying to become that. It's just the mind saying I'm not good enough. I have to be something else. It's realizing you are that. There's nothing to be done.
Right.
There's only to disturb what you are with things that you're not.
Right. And it's great that you can deal now with noises like that and with sense perceptions. Now, nevertheless, when you have to live together, then it's good that you can somehow arrange that a harmonious way that both can somewhat reasonably happy with it. Like what you're describing with the sense perception, the same you can apply with what we have been talking before, with the mental noises that come, with the mental obstruction, with the things that somebody does and says that we don't like. These are, it's a bit a subtler level, but it's also objects that are being perceived.
Yes.
So then also on that level, you can use the same strategy.
My previous teacher always said there are two modes that you can be in. He called one the natural state, in where you are aware that there's really no one aware. Or it's not a good way of saying it, but the way you are not in the egoistic mode, and just in letting go. And there is the stage one mode, he called it. That's the mode where you are engaged in the mind.
Yeah.
And when you are engaged in the mind, you don't see anymore that you are in an egoistic mode. You think that it's right, that it's the way to go, and only when you stop the mind and you get out of the egoistic mode, there is room for seeing again that this is all just mental chatter and objects flying by. So, but of course, if you live together in a building, if I sit in my car, I like to, as I told you, I'd like to meditate in my car.
Yes.
I prefer to have the music off and everything silent.
Yeah.
If I put it on, I can still meditate, but I prefer to do that in silence. So if Werner lives in a building with a woman doing that, it's only reasonable to ask to keep a little consideration with each other.
Sure.
I can imagine this will drive you crazy hearing one CD all the day.
Right.
I feel for you, Werner.
You mean, I think you mean Andreas.
Oh, sorry, Andre.
This fellow is called
doing,
Werner.
I'm sometimes a bit influenced by my patients who have dementia. Sorry. Sorry, no, Andreas. Ah, shit.
It's all right.
Okay, so Andreas, I feel for you. I wouldn't listen to one CD all day. Also, it's too much. So really good to try to get to an understanding with somebody.
Yes.
Okay, that's it.
That's it. Let's drop the subject. Hari Om. there anybody else who would like to come? I'm hearing thunder in the far horizon still, but maybe it comes here after that. What we have been talking about now since some time about life situations, after all, that's why we came here. It's not that the essence has to change. The essence, what is unchangeable. And yet, that essence is curious to experience itself in ever vaster and vaster ways. But just now, Neil said, like many, it's very popular to say that there is nobody there. And of course, if we think of a person as somebody, then there is nobody there. It's not a person, and not a person separate. And yet there is a being that is the essence, and yet is at the same time something unique. That is all one, and in that all oneness is also something unique. And that being is curious to experience that essence, to unfold that experience of reality. Otherwise, we wouldn't come here. Otherwise, this whole creation wouldn't make any sense. But for some time, in my sadhana time, I thought the whole thing doesn't make any sense. But then Amma told me, yes, it does make sense. And she was right, of course, as usual. It did. It does make sense. It's good to remember that we are here for that, to learn, to grow, to outgrow this state, go beyond it, and every situation can be used to become more self-conscious. Any positive situation can be used. Anything that creates happiness, that makes us joyous, that we like. We can either completely forget about ourselves and jump in the situation and enjoy it, and then be after that sad that it's over. Or even in the midst of a happy situation, we can become aware, beautiful. It's sort of making my experience stronger of being here now. And we can do the same thing with a worse situation. Something we don't like, something that really goes on our nerves, that we basically first accept, okay, I'm here for confrontations. I'm here to learn to be at ease, at peace, even in situations that somehow are totally not to my liking and go on my nerves. And then every situation can be used to become self-aware. And that experience of that self-awareness can unfold and unfold. And to help this process, that's why we decided to come into a crazy world like this, to get richer for the experience. But we don't have to wait until after life to after that evaluate the experiences, but we can become here now in the midst of the experience where, oh, this can help me to go deeper, to sink deeper into my own resources. Both with happy experience that I like, with adverse experiences that I don't like. If we go from day to day through our life like this, then everything becomes a help to expand, to get richer, to get strongly rooted with our attention in the source. And then in the meantime, on the three-dimensional level, on the material level, we can very well try to make also our environments a bit harmonious. And if there are things that really disturb us deeply, we can try, we can see whether we can change them. Most of the time it's possible. If we go with a good attitude, with a positive, friendly attitude, then even if we cannot remove something completely, we can find ways that it's getting a bit more harmonious. And if for some reason that is not possible, then we still can accept, okay, this has to be endured, maybe for some time, maybe for a bit more time. And instead of getting irritated all the time, I can learn to accept. And in that acceptance, actually, I'm getting stronger and stronger. That it's again an opportunity that I can confront adverse reactions that come in me, and instead of letting them pull me into something destructive, I can use that energy to turn the attention back to the source and use that energy to dive that much deeper into the source, into our resources. If we have that basic attitude, still sometimes we will forget, sometimes we will react and bang on the table. Sometimes we will get caught up in a happy moment and completely flow with it. But if the basic attitude is that there, then we come back again and again. And the things are not accumulating and getting more and more and heavier. Then something may be there for some time troubling, and then eventually we let it go again. And there we are again, new and fresh, without building up mountains of burdens that become heavier and heavier as the time is passing. That we see the burdens, all right, there is an opportunity to become more self-aware. There is an opportunity to let go more of that which keeps me in that state of separation. And if we deal with the situations like this, then they come, they are there, they go, and we learn and we grow. And that's the purpose of why we are here. If there is anybody who would like to come, we have a little more time left. If we want to, can come in.
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Nelly.
In continuation of this subject about disturbing some sounds,
yeah.
I found in myself that for me it is difficult to, when I meditate, when I hear some voices, some audio recordings, when somebody talks like radio, and yes, and yes, sounds, some technical sounds are not so difficult for me, but when I hear words, it is more difficult. And I thought about you. You told when you was in India, it was in the beginning difficult to find quiet place for meditation. That everywhere some people, as I remember right, if I remember right.
Yes.
And how did you deal with these sounds when people talk all the time? Just try to relax, to feel these emotions and relax.
Right, and redirect the attention as good as I could. And gradually, actually, I learned to have people talk nearby without listening to what they are talking. I was still aware of the sound. I was still aware that they are talking, but I stopped following what they are talking. And by redirecting the attention to my meditation, whatever you are doing in your meditation, then if that is happening and somebody talks and we are invariably, the curiosity is there, we are getting interested and follow, even if it's nonsense they are talking, then one has the tendency to follow the content. Then it's not simply the noise, but then there is also meaning in it. That when you catch yourself doing that, that you just bring your attention back to your meditation, to the way how you are meditating. And then you can learn that even if people talk nearby, that you just don't listen. Actually, everybody knows that. When we are reading a book and are really concentrated, then people can talk nearby and we don't even hear them that they are talking. If the book is interesting and really get us absorbed, then we are withdrawing the attention and are in our book, and somebody may even ask us somebody and we don't even hear that they try to talk to us because we are so absorbed. Or we see it all the time now with the people with their mobile phone. They are totally absorbed in the screen, and if you talk them, they come like out of a dream. But then
Yes.
when we are meditating, it's not like luring the attention so strongly like a mobile phone or even a story in a book. But we have to learn to bring the attention, and so the temptation when there is some excuse to go out is much stronger. But you can learn that just try not to get irritated if it's there, and as good as you can, then you bring your attention back, and then it may go again, but then there I'm listening again. No, bring it back to your meditation, and eventually it won't disturb you that much.
Okay, Werner, thank you very much. Very good examples. Yes, thank you. It's very clear. Yes, Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. All right, my friends. I think we stop the satsang for today. It was a lot about practical stuff, but yes, the practical world is here, that we have opportunities to become more self-aware. Let's not forget this and go with that attitude from day to day. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.